do, let me introduce you to Colin, and he's going to tell you a little bit about what TOG stands for and how it's going to benefit you and eventually benefit your clients.
Thank you, Peter.
No, my pleasure.
Again, thank you. Thank you for inviting me along to introduce target-oriented golf to you today. I think the key purpose of target-oriented golf and why we've developed this coaching program is we ultimately want golfers to get to a place in their golfing life where they are out on the golf course purely and simply focused on where they're trying to hit the golf ball without consciously trying to carry out the action to hit the golf ball. So the idea of our work is to help people get to a place of trust within their technical ability, so that when they go out on the golf course, they aren't out on the golf course doubting their ability to swing the golf club effectively. Now, the opportunity to, or the chance to get to target orientation, which is the ability to be visualizing your target whilst you're looking down at the golf ball, is quite an elusive skill for golfers, because the dominant behaviour in their practice and on the range is typically one of paying attention to something within the swing itself. Ultimately, when we are having coaching, when we're teaching people how to swing golf clubs, the individual's attentional focus at that time is often on something within that 1.5 seconds of the golf swing. It may also be on the golf ball. So the attentional focus at that time is what's basically known as internal. Now, everything that we get to a place of performance in our life, of trust within our skills, our attention needs to be shifted external. And this switch from internal to external focus happens naturally in most other walks of life in which you demonstrate performance now. Riding push bikes, driving cars. We go through a skills acquisition process, but eventually our attention is naturally allowed to shift onto the road ahead. And when that shift happens, we stop paying attention to our physical self. Our non-conscious mind starts to carry out the physical actions. Now, the key thing about golf is that that switch from an internal to an external focus can be and is being inhibited by the coach and how they're ultimately training the golfer. The reason why we're trying to help coaches understand our work is that you have a responsibility to not only help the golfer develop the correct positions for their particular golf swing, but you also have a responsibility to teach them how to trust that golf swing.
Yeah, just to interrupt, I love the fact that you use that word responsibility, because I think that, you know, from my perception of what I see, very seldom do the coaches take that responsibility. And you know, I think that because they haven't got the tools, and I think that what you've got here is the tools and for the trust to them to be responsible, because they do trust the fact that this works.
Yeah, it's very important that you as coaches, for instance, experience this work yourselves. It doesn't matter how much I talk to people, until we get you with a club in your hand on the range, hitting golf balls, understanding how to get your attention away from the action itself. It won't really, you won't really appreciate the value of teaching this skill set to other golfers. So the purpose of our training program that we're going to develop and teach alongside Peter's coaching system is to help you, first of all, understand through a series of online webinars the reasons why it's important to understand attentional focus, not only during the skills acquisition process, but how to use attentional focus to help the golfer develop psychological performance. Because our attention ultimately determines our ability to carry out the task that we're trying to do. So if our conscious mind is constantly involved in trying to control our actions, we never get to a place of performance, we never get to a place of trust. And it's not enough to tell people to just go and trust, because trust is not something that you can just go and do. You have to learn how to train for trust. You have to change ultimately what is going on in practice for it to be taken out to work effectively under competition, the perception of competition, pressure. Now, most golfers spend their lives working in what we call training mode, in which they are always trying to fix, improve something within that 1.5 seconds of the motion. What we're doing is helping you also teach golfers how to train in trusting mode. So whilst they're in trusting mode, it allows you to move that golfer's attention away from what's going on within the swing to a place where they're ultimately focused on where they're trying to hit the golf ball. Because by keeping the conscious mind engaged on the task, it prevents it from getting involved in trying to control the physical action. And that ultimately is the way we learn effectively to drive and to ride bikes. It's very interesting, this concept of attentional focus. If you recall, let's put it this way, as infants, we learn to develop motor skills before we learn to think, before we learn to talk, so that we learn to crawl and walk and run without no conscious mind involved in that process. And we develop those motor patterns which are good for life, trusted, never doubted. What we're teaching through our work is the ability to develop a golf swing using a similar process that we use through the natural process as infants. So we're trying to help you understand that the conscious mind is very destructive if it's constantly involved in trying to manufacture a physical movement. So whilst you're learning to develop the motor skills, it's typical that we're thinking about what we need to be doing to move the golf club. But that very process of thinking about the movement is involving the conscious mind. The work of my colleague, Dr. Tony Paparo, has developed a training program that you as coaches can teach to golfers, which not only allows you to find the correct swing for the golfer, but ensures that you're training the mind simultaneously. You're keeping the mind and the body working as a unit rather than seeing them as two separate entities. And this is a very important component of teaching golf skills, is you can treat the golfer as a machine and see them as the mind and the head as having no impact. But if you don't take into account what the golfer is paying attention to, it significantly impairs their ability to acquire the motor skills as fast as your coaching can allow. I think it's important to recognise that we aren't machines. We are a combination of mind and body, and whatever we are choosing to think about will often determine what the non-conscious self is trying to do. So when we're trying to hit a golf ball, for instance, if we don't give the non-conscious mind a clear statement of intention, then how does the non-conscious self know what to do with the golf club? Because the conscious mind is then left to its own devices, it often gets involved in the golf swing. And the golf swing then disintegrates because you're consciously trying to control something which needs to be trusted. So it's a very important process whereby the training process that we'd like to take you through provides a roadmap to help a golfer understand how to get to this place of target orientation. If you don't have a philosophy, then the golfer doesn't ultimately know where you're trying to take them. If you don't state up front, this is what I'm going to teach. Are you a club-oriented coach? Are you a ball-oriented coach? Or are you a target-oriented coach? The purpose of target orientation is to not only help people acquire the skill for effective golf swings, but to also teach people how to trust that skill.
Yeah, so the importance of it is in how we currently see coaching occurring, and mostly we get these frustrated people that are being told to get into this position and that position, and they're trying to learn it with these thoughts, and then they take those thoughts out onto the golf course. It's got no chance. It won't work. It's what's been going on for virtually hundreds of years, and there's only one way to do it, and that's the right way. And this is the right way. It's still very much involved in everything else we talk. For instance, Colin talked about, it's only information until I work with you. Well, that's very Charles Seashore orientated within the feedback. The fact that how we learn has to match how we're going to produce it on the golf course. Again, contextual and relational. So we'll see various ways this fits in with the overall philosophy. And of course, part of the overall philosophy as well is that we need to get Colin looking at you when you think you've got this information, putting you through an actual practical, and then giving you feedback so that you can make sure that you're doing it to the highest level. And I believe it's so important that this is going into the hub of our material, and we will not produce a level 3 coach that isn't fully certificated by Colin as well. It's an absolute essential. So have you got anything more to add before you trot on your merry way today, Colin?
No, I would suggest that if people want to have a look at the program before we start to talk via the online webinar process, it's available online already. So please contact Peter or myself, and we shall
a little closer there.
We shall basically give you access to the material. The key thing is that the material itself won't be effectively understood until we take the time to take you through the online coaching process, which will incorporate 5 one-hour sessions with Dr. Paparo, 5 sessions with myself. As a result of that training process, we'll be in a position to work together in practice at a golf facility somewhere, which will allow you to not only experience it yourself, but understand how to coach this work to golfers. That's the plan, and ultimately, once you've got to a place of feeling that you understand the value of this work, that we can continue to provide support services to you and your clients as you move forward, so you do not feel like you have to become experts in this subject matter, but understand the value of it within your holistic coaching process.
One of the added bonuses that Colin and I have been talking about, in that we both expressed that coaching needs to be continuous, and we need to keep this continuous contact, and obviously that's the same with your client. So this process is very adaptable to taking your clients and teaching your clients from home. So that's something that can really be massively important for you guys just starting out, that you can actually have clients and they just can be working in their own home as you work from yours, and we're going to show you how to do that, because very much the work that you do with me and with Colin and Tony is going to be exactly the same. This new modern age means that it's going to be you're going to be effective in your own home. What an opportunity, what a great opportunity. So I'm going to say thank you to Colin and for the day, so thanks very much. And we look forward to seeing you in our various trainings in the near future.
Thank you very much for your time, and thank you.
Thank you.